What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to After the Impact. And, because of technical difficulties, we are going to have a little bit of a different show tonight because really, honestly, and you guys know, you were there, it's really tough to score this because when you're watching a laggy thing that's just skipping constantly, and you're not seeing full matches, you're not seeing promos or hearing promos, it's really, really just tough to score this. So I think it's just one of these things where you just kick it to the curb. We see what we're getting next week, which looks exciting. And let's just hope that when we come back next week, we don't have the issues and the problems and stuff that we had this week. Hopefully they get that all corrected. So, all right. But what we'll do for a little bit, we're not going to stay around long. But what we'll do, and we were talking about some of this stuff, we'll keep it Impact related. We haven't had our Saturday podcast in a while. It's been a while. We've been doing other things, a lot of streaming on Saturdays. So what we'll do is we'll kind of do a little roundtable discussion with all three of us tonight, and we'll talk about some Impact related news and some things. And you guys can get involved. We'll talk about the possible signings, and you guys could let us know, where do you want to see that person sign? What do you want to see them do when they get there? Things like that. You could talk about that in the chat. We'll talk about, whether Impact's going to get, supposed big TV deal on the table maybe, and things like that. So we'll just do that. We'll take about a half an hour or so and just talk about that kind of stuff. We'll just, like I said, we'll move past the show tonight because there's really not much we can do. It was what it was. So, all right. So that's what we're going to do. No need to really score the show tonight because, again, it's hard to – Conrad mentioned when we were going off the air, it's hard to score something like that. It's just not – there's just nothing there to even try to make a mess of, make sense of. So, all right. We got the news. We talked about this before the show about the possibilities of people that could be going to Impact. So Jeff mentioned it before the show. Of course, you have the former Buddy Murphy. You have Adam Shearer, Braun Strowman, possibly. And then you got the news. And the news for the Bray Wyatt thing is if you type in Bray Wyatt and do a search, that's what pops up now almost everywhere, that Impact is going after Bray hard. And Conrad shared that with me earlier this afternoon as well. So of those three, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but who would you be excited, the most excited about? I mean, we all know everybody, most of you guys in the community are big Bray fans. If you're going to say Bray, what would you like to see him do? So let's just go, here's what we'll do. We'll talk about those three, and we'll just kind of mention what we think we would be excited about seeing them bringing to Impact. Let's just do it that way. And you guys in the chat can just play along with us and let us know as far as what you guys are thinking out there too. So, all right. We may as well start with the proverbial elephant in the room. And we may as well just start with Bray Wyatt because that's what everybody in the chat's going to talk about anyway. So let's start, and we'll go to Conrad because, Conrad, you weren't here for the pre-show discussion. Excited to see Bray join because Conrad is, look, he also could possibly be going to AEW. We don't know. They could make a play for him too. He's got stuff with Cody that there's a history there. So if Bray decided to go to Impact, and if Impact is indeed really trying to sign him, would you be excited to see him there? And what would you think that Bray would bring to Impact Wrestling?
I feel like overall, when you look at Bray Wyatt and everything that he's done, the main thing for him is probably going to be creativity. Yeah. And can I own my creativity? So going into this, he needs to be put into a situation for Impact Wrestling that you will say you are going to be a priority. You may not be one in AEW. I mean, it's easy to say that type of stuff. Do you really want to be the upper mid card? Do you want to start from this point? Or do you want to come here and you could be a big deal right away? Maybe they'll give him some cinematic matches, some freedom. Like I said, the main thing for him is creative freedom, and you will own your name. We can give you that, and we can give you a platform to build off of. You'll help us, and we'll help you. And that's basically it. That's what I would like to see from him. And I think he's going to go all out with the new character too once he develops what he wants to do. So that would be the most interesting thing for him.
Yeah, great shout. Bray for the men, Impact, and Ruby Soho Impact's Knockouts division, says James Chadwick. No doubt he'll have creative control and Impact. They're known for that. Derek says Bray brings range that can be stretched throughout the whole company. So many feuds and directions they can go with him. I hope he goes to Impact. He has the star power they need. J Hub says the idea was good, but everything came with it wasn't worth shit. I tagged you and Joe in a new photo. Figured out how to add the Impact. Oh, so the AOL thing. let me look that up while Jeff answers the question. Jeff, obviously, we're big fans of Bray Wyatt. What do you think of Bray? I mean, I know the answer for both of us because we talked about it earlier this afternoon. But what do you think of Bray Wyatt? And here, let me just show what he did.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So what do you think about Bray going to Impact, and obviously, what does he bring to them? What do they give to him? Like Conrad had talked about a little bit before.
Obviously, I love it. I'm gonna love anywhere that he signs, but I think we said this here before. It'd be really good for Bray to go to Impact because one, the moment that he gets there, he's your top guy in terms of notoriety and buzz.
Yep.
Even more so than your world champion. You don't have to put the belt on Bray. Please don't put the belt on Bray. Yep. Just let him flourish creatively.
Yep.
In the beginning. So he's going to bring more eyes to Impact for sure. What they do for him, I think, given their taping schedule, it gives him a lot of time to do other things that he didn't get a chance to do in WWE. So what I mean by that is that'll give him the opportunity to, if he wants to get involved in the movie business, he has a chance to do that. If he wants to work some other shows, like some indie shows, he has an opportunity to do that. And let's not forget that Forbidden Door is wide open. So just because he signs with Impact doesn't mean that that's where he has to have all of his programs done. He could very easily, jump across and do something on AEW. Same thing with New Japan. The possibilities are endless when it comes to this, and that's why if you're Anthem, if you're Impact, you got to find a way to get the money, because I think at this point in the game, you're going to get a hungry, motivated Bray Wyatt coming in the door, which means that his creative juices are going to be on hyper mode. And a Bray Wyatt that brings in that kind of creativity is only going to improve your overall promotion. So I would love to see it. I'd love to see him joined by some other people. And I think it's a good deal all the way around.
Yeah. No, great stuff. I agree. Are we completely ruling out that he resigns? I can't see him going back there, James. I just can't. I know people, there are WWE fans out there that want it badly. I can't see it. That would say to me that the only way I think that would happen is if they decide to get to back up a bank truck in front of his house and pay him more, and they're not going to do that. If the reason truly was what he was making was too much, they're not going to give him more to come back. And if he did go back there, he'd have to go back for less money, and I really don't think he's going to do it. And the other thing is if he was creatively frustrated, as a lot of people are turning around and saying that's coming out, I doubt it. I can't see him going back to WWE. I never could from the very start. I never could. So yeah, I personally, I would rule that out. I don't think that's going to happen. It could, but I just don't see it happening. So for me, the supernatural stuff that happens in Impact is right up his alley. whether it's Decay, the stuff with Su Yung now, that what she's doing, it looks like she's making a faction out of Undead, which is amazing. Rosemary. I saw somebody. This was on that Bleacher Report thing that I posted. Said a drawback was too many people would think of him as the new Abyss. I don't think so. He's not going to come in and join Decay, I don't think. But Jeff and I talked about this earlier. I mean, somebody mentioned too, Father James Mitchell. Have him get involved somehow with Father James Mitchell. He doesn't need a mouthpiece, but again, I said earlier in the show, Roman doesn't either. But he just works well with Heyman. And like Conrad said, backing up what he said, and of course what Jeff said, the creative freedom was a big part of the stuff that was going on with him in WWE. So he can come here, he can kind of just, they'll give him free reign, I'm sure. And also, like Conrad said during the show, there's other things that come along with it. If he wants to be on Talkin' Shop and have a good old time on a Talkin' Shop show with the Good Brothers and stuff like that and do something funny, and he wants to explore some of that, if he wants, he can get all of that stuff here. And again, like we're seeing with Morrissey now, it doesn't have to be forever. If he wants to stick around for a little bit and then explore his other options, you can. It would be up to what kind of a deal that they sign him to. But in the meantime, hey, if you want to really explore the creativity and the creative side and go after that, then you've got Impact Wrestling there to maybe do it. And like Jeff said, with the Forbidden Door stuff, hey, he could go to New Japan, maybe get some time there. He could go to an NWA. Could you imagine him doing promos over an NWA? They do amazing promos there too. He can go there. There's all of this stuff there that would be an advantage with Impact. And sometimes when you have been let go from a company, you get, you're in this kind of courting period and people are kind of going back and forth. And when they make a case, sometimes it's tough to say no. And maybe it's not the biggest employer out there. Maybe it's not the one who's throwing the most money at you. But if they're really, they're dead set on really trying to fit you in as their guy, that's got a lot of appeal. So I think he would do great there. I really do. I have no doubts that he would come up with something over the top, and he would fit right in there. And I think it would be amazing for Impact. There would be so many eyes on that debut. If you knew he was coming, I think it would be amazing for Impact Wrestling. I really, really do. I think it'd be awesome. And like Jeff said, doesn't need a title. You don't need to give him a title, but just imagine the matchups that you could have there with him. It would be absolutely amazing. So, all right. Bray can make his own Wyatt family in Impact. Stars like Sammy, Morrissey, Sam Beal, Rhino, Heath Slater, and even new people joining the company. So this is a question I asked last night on Conrad's stream. Since everybody right now seems to be going to AEW, what is your rotation going to be with your titles, and who challenges for them? You mean for Impact? I mean, I think you could kind of already see where some of it's going. I mean, obviously Christian's going to hold that title for probably a little bit, I would imagine. But who are they building? I mean, obviously it looks as if they're building Josh up. We had said that on our streams before. So you guys can answer. Go ahead. You can answer that, Jeff, if you want.
Well, I wanted to get to this other question too.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Mark's question that's on screen. He says, if Bray goes to Impact, will that stall some of AEW steam? AEW's hot right now. I wonder if Wyatt going to Impact might stall AEW steam. Plus, Bray's got a unique fan base around him, so that's an issue as well. I think that, just to answer that question real quick, and I'd love to get you two guys to answer too, I think personally that their steam is just fine, and it's only going to pick up, especially once Bryan Danielson makes his debut. I think that's only going to intensify. So I think they're just fine. I think they need to keep doing what they're doing, exactly how they're doing it. And with these acquisitions, making sure that they fit and they make sense. As long as they don't just start throwing money at people just for the sake of throwing it at them and just signing them so no one else can't, I think they're going to be just fine. And I think their steam is just, I think they're in a good place.
Yeah, I would agree with Jeff real quick. I'll let Conrad go after me because he does the shows about AEW. So, yeah, I agree. I don't think AEW is in a good place. They've got 2 shows on now. The second show is doing for the 10 o'clock hour that they're on is getting killer ratings. People are saying it was a disappointment. That kind of a rating on a 10 o'clock hour show is not a disappointment. The ratings are high for a 10 o'clock show, so they're doing really well, and I think they have both of the shows are doing well. They've got people there that everybody's interested in, and like Jeff said, with Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson possibly coming there sooner or later, that's just going to increase the height of that show. So no, I don't think it would affect them at all if Bray ends up going to Impact. Quite the contrary, I think they would, and again, that's not saying that he can't work with them at somewhere down the road. So go ahead, Conrad, you can answer the question as well.
I think, okay, if you're an AEW fan, there's 2 ways to look at this. Getting Bray would be absolutely another snag, yes. But we also have people like Adam Cole, Pete Dunne, and we're getting to the point to where you got to pump the brakes and say enough's enough, and who do you want and who don't you want? In my opinion, when you look at this, you're getting all these big signings month after month. So it'll be August, you're going to get Punk. Yep. September, Bryan. Yep. Bray's going to be around Halloween in October, right before Full Gear, the pay-per-view we were just talking about. Yep. Then fans are going to say, well, what's for December? What's for January? Yep. We need somebody new. We have to have somebody new. You gotta set the expectations to be realistic. Will it hurt them? Not at all. Not at all, because Bray can still dip his toes into the AEW water if he wants to, as long as they're willing to accept him. Come on in, and I'm sure they would be willing to work with him. Yeah. Like I said, the world is in his hands right now, and I mean the wrestling world. He can do whatever he wants, so that's up to him. He's got to do what's going to make him happy, and either way, whatever he decides, he's got to do what's best for him and his family. So I completely understand. I just want the guy to be happy myself, because he seemed like he wasn't happy either towards the end.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. All right, let's look at Braun Strowman next. Here's a guy who was on top of the world in WWE. He was given that championship. He beat Goldberg, took that title, ran with it for a good amount of time during COVID. And again, he's one of these guys that kind of carried them during COVID. Seemed like he was in a great positioning, had that swamp fight with Bray, and then the wheels kind of just fell off. It almost just seemed like, again, the creative there just seemed like they had that whole thing where they just didn't know what to do with him. And then they started the whole thing with the train noises and everything like that, and it just seemed to just get worse. The bottom fell out. Yeah, right. True too. The bottom fell out, and then that was it. And then all of a sudden he was gone. So here's a big man. Now look, this guy has been doing some heavy work on his body. He looks amazing. If you haven't seen him lately, go to his Twitter. He has been doing some bodybuilding, intense body. He looks unbelievable. Cut. I mean, he looks awesome. So obviously he's doing work. He's trying to keep himself relevant on social media. Was teasing a little bit of the Chicago style pizza last week during AEW show. So he's keeping himself relevant. What would a guy like Braun Strowman do for Impact Wrestling, Jeff?
Almost a copy and paste. I think this is a guy that we've seen this blueprint, but I think you almost mimic what you did with Morrissey. I think you do that with Braun. And 2 reasons why I say that. One, it gives the Impact fans and other fans that are now watching him on Impact Television, it gives them an opportunity to get to know who he is outside of who the WWE built him to be. Like they built him to be this monster that, honestly, when's the last time you've been really juiced about a Braun Strowman promo or backstage segment? And it's because of how they built him. if you're Impact, you give him an opportunity to speak on the mic, kind of like Morrissey did, because he's another guy that when he was in WWE, it was just kind of this like, how when is this segment over? Because I know Enzo's going to talk, my ears off and, all this other stuff. Yeah. So then you build up these monsters to be who they really are, is monsters. And I think that would do wonders for Braun and for Impact, because a lot of people over the years have been saying, well, Impact doesn't have any credible, believable big men. Well, you've had Morrissey, which, I know, I don't know. Don't even get me started on that. But right now, you have Morrissey, you have Moose, you've got Taruse. If you add in Braun Strowman into that mix, you got, the big LG. I can name a few because, I don't know where
people... Fulton.
Exactly. Madman Fulton.
Shira.
I mean, people keep running out of excuses to not give Impact a chance. So, like, if I can with the three of us right now, name off the names that we just named, it completely debunks these people's theories of, well, they don't have any credible big men that, strike fear. That's a bunch of crap is what that is. So I think it just does. I think it'll do wonders. Yeah, I think it does wonders for their roster. And I'd love to see what he can do now that he doesn't have the handcuffs on. Like this, what I want people to understand is, for every Impact Wrestling is not a destination for everyone.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a detour in their longer journey. So they can go to Impact, do some things for 6 months to a year, and then you never know. WWE might come back and say, we were really stupid. But they won't do that for real. They won't ever come out and say that, but they just sign the people. But they come, they rehire that person because it's like, okay, well, they're flourishing over here. We don't want the competition to get them. Let's throw them some money and maybe make some concessions and see if we can work together now. So don't think of it as an ultimate destination for some. Like, I don't see Bray Wyatt finishing his career at Impact if he signs there. Same thing if he ends up in Ring of Honor. I don't see him finishing in those places. But it's a good place for them right now, and I kind of feel the same way about Braun.
Yeah, great stuff. What do you think, Conrad?
Just so you guys know, I told Jeff that he named an entire Haas roster.
I just
so
saw
if you're wondering why he lost his, if you're wondering why he lost his train of thought and said absolutely before, that was
I just
why.
saw it in the chat. Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, so whoever said that, you're full of bullshiggity. So, and I know I could have cursed, but that's what I say. So, anywho, when it comes to Braun Strowman, I think the number one thing I want him to do, no matter where he goes, I don't care what company, he's got to humble himself a little bit right now. Because Braun Strowman is someone who came from bodybuilding, powerlifting, got the contract, and he's been trained the WWE way. Cool. That doesn't make him a bad wrestler. That doesn't make a lick of difference to me. What hurt was when the pandemic happened and he made that comment that he made about a lot of indie wrestlers. And he had created probably a lot of enemies the moment he tweeted that, like, you don't know what it's like to wrestle for a hot dog and a cup of water. So don't give me that trash about what you're saying right now. I honestly don't think he would be a good fit in AEW right now. If I'm AEW, I want to watch, and I don't want this to ruin the next person we're going to talk about. I want to watch and see what Braun Strowman does now before I even sign him. So I think Impact is where he should go. Could he fit in the NWA? Sure. But do you want to lose to a couple people? You're not going to be at the top of the card there. In Impact Wrestling, you have that chance to say, I could work with a lot of these guys, and I could be at the top of the card, and I could be a star over here. And I think that will be the perfect landing spot for him. And when I see him, I mentioned Matt Hardy with when it came to Bray. When I see Braun, I could see him as the new Abyss for them. And hopefully this time you treat him right. I think Abyss did not get his flowers ever in Impact enough for everything that he always did for them. And I think Braun could be that guy for you. I'm not saying he's going to get slammed on thumbtacks. Completely wrong. He's going to be your top big man possibly, though, and someone that you focus the world championship around. You build around him. Impact's his best spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have to agree. He did get put into, I don't know, it almost seemed to me, it almost came off to me that when they gave him that title, it may have been the start of a downfall for him. When he came in with the Wyatt family, obviously, built in as that big monster with Bray, and it was such a great character because it was just an intimidator in that group. But I don't know if it just seemed like, and they kind of threw that thing with Goldberg together because they had to, because of Roman Reigns, because of Roman not being around. So Braun was kind of second choice to go in and do that. And then it just seemed like things just fell off. And I think if that wasn't the start of the downfall, certainly the thing with Shane McMahon, the program with Shane that he had, I'm not even sure what that was even meant to be. Shane likes to put people over, but I don't even know. That just went south. But I agree. I don't know that he's necessarily, and I don't know if the word's ready, maybe, but I think he's got some work to do.
I think you're looking for proven, Joe. He's got to prove himself. He's got to prove himself now that you know what you're doing. Yeah, that you got something.
Yeah, I tend to agree. He came in as a guy who was not going to be a main guy. He was the bodyguard basically for Bray. So yeah, I agree, and I think that a place like Impact or even a Ring of Honor or an MLW can help him do that. And I think he would fit well into a position like that. Come in and just, like you said, just prove it, show yourself. And again, any of these guys are going to probably have some sort of chip on their shoulder as to how they were let go. So I'm sure that will have them focused. And but I agree. Good points. Great points. All right. And then the last one we'll talk about, and we'll get out of here. Of course, not Buddy Murphy anymore, but the ex-Buddy Murphy of WWE. We already saw some promos for this guy already. What I like is it looks like it has continuity with his friend Malachi Black's promos as well, showing that same asylum, whatever that is, prison, making references to being locked up for 90 days, showing the same characters that were in Malachi's video. I dig it. I like how he's doing that. Those two had, and Jeff and I talked about this on the podcast many times, amazing matches. Those two they have chemistry, and there's no denying that. They have chemistry together. So of all of them that we just talked about, I think, and I'm going to even say this over, don't get me wrong, this is no slight to anyone, and it's no slight to Bray Wyatt, because I love Bray Wyatt, but I'm even going to say, and maybe I'm just being a little bit selfish toward wanting him on Impact, but I'm even going to say that I think Buddy Murphy would be best suited for AEW right now. And I'm saying that because of who's there. I'm saying that because of the way that when you watch an AEW show, and I said this earlier too, they don't necessarily have the supernatural stuff going on. You see little hints at it, but there's really no big thing there that they're doing. You don't see a cane you don't see any of that kind of stuff there. So I think that with all of it, I think Buddy Murphy would fit the best with AEW. Not saying he couldn't be an Impact, because he certainly could, but I kind of think he fits more with AEW. And I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. Conrad, go ahead. What do you think of that one? What do you think he should be?
I think I might disagree a little with this one, Joe, with you on this. I think that AEW does have some dark characters, like the Malachi Black one is starting to get there.
Oh, yeah.
The supernatural stuff works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. Like, look at Matt Hardy when he did the teleporting thing. Some people had a problem with it. It didn't bother me. Some people didn't like the Stadium Stampede match where they had all the craziness and they're doing all this funky stuff in it. I get it. It's an acquired taste. Some people like it, some people don't. I will never ridicule someone for that. The key to me with Buddy Murphy, Buddy Matthews, whatever you want to call him this week,
yes.
The key with him is, do you want to be a superstar in the long term or the short term? If it's long term, you're going to Impact Wrestling. Here's why. You could be built up as the man, and you're going to make more money later if you bet on yourself now. If he goes into AEW, he's going into that TNT, that middle of the card title picture. Where does he want to wind up, and where does he fit into everything that goes along with this? If I'm him, I don't want to see him get put into like a Prince of Phenomenal type role that AJ was in when he was with Christian, because that's what I think would happen with him in AEW. And he'll have fantastic matches. He'll be great. It's all about what they're going to do with him. I think if he comes to Impact Wrestling, you have the chance to be the guy Christian was just talking about. Him and Josh Alexander, bangers.
Oh yeah.
Classics. Those little images that you see come up when it's Booker T versus Kurt Angle or Christian versus whoever, that's what you're going to see in the future will be Buddy Murphy and Josh Alexander years from now. So if I'm him, it just depends on what you want to do. I know AEW hype train is big right now, and that's what they want to do. And even if I'm AEW, maybe I sign him and I'm like, listen, you're going there first, and then we're going to bring you over after.
Okay. Yeah. Dylan says, I think he should be an Impact. They got to bring the guy that released him, the doctor or whatever. He can work in different promotions. People hated Broken Matt Hardy stuff. That just happened at a very poor time to me. That character for Matt, he's got to have fans. And you saw it a little bit last night. He's big money Matt now, but he was still doing the delete chants and the fans were going crazy. So that was just unfortunate. It happened at a very, very bad time. And I think if they end up bringing it back at some point someday, and if Bray is involved in that somehow, that'll go over big time. But I think it was just at a very, very unfortunate time. Buddy would be amazing in Ring of Honor. Josh versus Buddy, sign me up, says Sean Rousset. In AEW, you can be dark, but when it comes to Supernatural, then that is where it's cut off. No, maybe not, Butters. Maybe not. It's just, they do things differently. So, that remains to be seen. But just because we haven't seen it all out yet, it's just different. They're different companies. Impact does it differently, than WWE and so on. So, all right, Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, I disagree slightly with you, Joe, because I feel like while I think he would definitely fit in AEW, but again, it comes down to Buddy Matthews, where do you want to be 5 years from now? Let's not even talking about 6 months from now. Let's talk about 5 years from now. What do you want the name Buddy Matthews to invoke when fans mention it or hear your name? Honestly, his in-ring work, perfect. It's great. It's as good as I've seen in a long time. However, I still feel I don't know who he is. And that's why somewhere like Impact works well for a guy like him. The flip side to that is, like Conrad said, eventually you could have this kind of handshake deal in place between Impact and AEW saying, okay, listen, we're going to take this guy for like a year and a half, and we're just going to push the crap out of him. We're going to have him do some work with people in New Japan. We're going to kind of put him on that same program that we got Josh on eventually. We're going to have them match up with each other so we can really showcase the wrestling, but the build up to that match can be the two of them doing something that people don't say that they're known for, which is mic work. You get them out of that comfort zone. So there are a lot of things that can be done with him, but I think you have to start out in Impact to do it, because it's like you can either, and I jokingly did this last week, where I showed the picture of the crowded room and people trying to get into the door. As much as I love AEW, that's kind of where he would fit in. Like, he'd be one of those people that are trying to get into the door, and I would rather see more of him on television as opposed to seeing Buddy Matthews on AEW Dark or AEW Dark Elevation. I'd rather see him, on Rampage or Dynamite, and I just don't think that he's there right now, because I think if you put him there now, the types of matches that he's going to get is going to be against guys that they're pushing. So what does that mean? I feel like he's going to be one that takes a lot of pins. He's going to be one that is on the bad side of some different programs. So select Impact, get get some stuff going there. When Eric Young heals up, I want to see you and Eric Young do some business, because I feel like that a program between those two would be fire, with Eric Young, and eventually put him up against Josh. Heck, for that matter, put him up against someone like Tarus or someone like that. I mean, the possibilities are endless with him, and I know we've said that with Bray, and I kind of feel the same way. Is he as big a name? No, but his bright side and upside is so big that I don't even think fans that saw him in WWE realize how much more he's capable of. We just got to get to know everything there is to know from a character perspective about him.
All right. There you go. Very cool. All right. Really quickly, and we'll close her down. We've got Empower coming up this Saturday night. Don't forget to come and join us for that. That's 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll go round table really quickly, guys, and let's predict who is going to win, Deonna Purrazzo or Melina. So I'll start with Conrad. Conrad, who is your pick for Empower on Saturday night?
I am going to go with Deonna Purrazzo for the win. I think that this is the opportunity for them to use one of their biggest names. I'm sure Impact went in saying, listen, I like you, but we've got the biggest female star right now, and I think she needs to go over. I think Melina will do the right thing. Melina's old school. She's out there to have a good match with her, and it doesn't hurt Melina at all if she loses this. So give me Deonna for the dub.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. I think Deonna is the right choice to go over. I think it'll be a good match, and I think it'll be fun for everybody to see Melina back again. But yeah, I do think. Listen, the Virtuoso is just hot right now. I don't know who's going to take her down. I really don't. They haven't necessarily built that person up yet, I don't think. So unless we see someone in the women's side of it come in to Impact, I don't really know who's going to be next in line. So, but I do believe Deonna Purrazzo does win. Jeff, go ahead.
Deonna, she's on a run right now that I don't think. I hate to even say this, but I think she's kind of on a Moolah-esque run right now, where she's gonna hold the belt for as long as she wants to hold the belt. And if she has some stuff down the road with her and Macklin where they want to have some kids or something like that, then maybe she loses the title then. And if she decides to come back, she'll probably get it back. Deonna is so talented that I don't think people really truly understand how gifted she is. Like, just how gifted she is. This is her time. I would love to see, fingers crossed, if we're going to get some AEW Impact crossover at Bound for Glory, hey, DMD, I need a checkup real quick. I need you and Deonna to holler at each other in Vegas. That would be tremendous. But I just think it's Deonna's time. I think Melina she's a veteran, and this is how the business works. You get your time in the spotlight where you have veterans put you over, and then you're gonna have your time in the and the sun set, where it's going to be time for you to start putting some other people over. And I think that's where Melina is right now. I think she's perfectly fine with that because she's going to be a part of the history that's making this so possible. Because this is history for women. And I mean, there are going to be a lot of eyes on that pay-per-view. So yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Mickey versus Deanna at BFG. You never know. That could be as well. You might see that happen. I mean, there's certainly
Especially
been
after
seeds.
tonight.
There have been seeds planted. So absolutely. I wish we could have seen the damn promo. So yeah, Deanna beat Thunder Rosa. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's it for After the Impact. Obviously, like I said, a little bit of a different show tonight because we just couldn't really review the show with everything that was going on with all the lousy lag and everything that we had. It wouldn't even have been fair to really do it. So we've got some good stuff going on for next week. You're going to see that match between Tommy Dreamer and Ace Austin. And, of course, if Dreamer wins, he gets put into the title match. So we're going to get some good stuff, it looks like, next week. Hopefully they have all their technical problems taken care of and we don't run into this next week's episode. So stay away from the spoilers, guys. Don't go up and you literally can't go on Twitter and look up Impact Wrestling. If you do, you're going to be bombarded. So I suggest if you want to stay away from it, don't do that. Because you will see all these spoilers. There are tapings going on. They do have, if there are going to be people there, they are probably there. So don't go looking unless you really want to spoil it for yourself. Another great weekend of wrestling. Yeah, it's a big weekend for the NWA. Absolutely. So, all right. So that said, tomorrow night we have our SmackDown Watch Along. That's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us for that. That should be a lot of fun. We're going to get answers, hopefully, from Brock Lesnar. We're going to get answers from the man. We should see both of them on tomorrow night's show. Join us for that. We may stick around for a little bit afterwards and see what's going on Rampage as well. We'll see. That always depends on you guys also. And then, of course, on Saturday, we're back with Empower. That will start at 7:30 as well, p.m. Eastern Time. We will be here to watch Empower also. So NWA Empower, make sure you join us for that as well. Conrad, do you have anything coming up you want to talk about quick?
Not at the moment. I will be reviewing AEW All Out, so if you guys do want to check me out for that, we're 2 subscribers away from 1.46, I believe, or no, I don't know what number I'm at. I know I'm 2 away from something. So yeah, just check me out, and you guys know where I am every Thursday. Usually I'm in here, so show some love. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Insiders as well.
And, of course, Tazzy, who is usually with us during Impact, of course, can't be now because the A's have a bunch of home games. So shout out to Tazzy, and I know he's going to be back with NXT as soon as he can. So make sure you check out him, check out his channel. He's also doing a new show, I think, that he announced on Twitter, which is going to be kind of just an inside look at wrestling, I think he's going to do, and it's going to be non-PG. So, yeah. So there you go. All right. That's it for us tonight, guys. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hopefully, we will see you all tomorrow night for our next stream, which is SmackDown at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So from Conrad, Jeff, and myself, hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Hope you have a great Friday. And hopefully, we will see you all on our next stream. Take care, everybody. Good night.